Okay, so to read from an input file, if you look at your input file, every line has a string and a double. So you need a string variable and a double variable. Keep in mind, you need to include your string library, right, when you're working with strings. So if you wanted to read in the first line, that'll read in the month, and that'll read in salary. So this will read in January, and this will read in 12,000. Okay. Now, what you need to do is you're reading more than one is you need to use a loop. So there's a few different ways to do it, but you can put this in a while loop. Right, this will read in a month. If it hasn't reached the end of file marker, it'll read in the next salary, and then it'll do whatever else you have to do in the loop. There's more you have to do in the loop, right? You have to display the month, you have to display the salary, you have to add a salary into a total variable so you can accumulate a total. You need to have a counter that gets incremented, so later on you can take the total and divide it by the number of salaries that were read in to calculate the average. But that's the basic syntax for that. The other thing you could do, this is what's shown in the textbook, which I'm not a great fan of. You could just read these inside the loop, and you can use the end of file function to check for when you've read the end of file marker in. So it'll go to the input file. It's right here. While it hasn't reached the end of file marker, it'll read in January, it'll read in 12,000. It'll do whatever it has to do. It hasn't read in the end of file marker, so it'll read in February, 11/5. It hasn't reached the end of file marker. It'll read in the next month, the next salary, etc., etc. So that's what you need to do here, and you need to think about your code in your while loop.